This morning, we're giving a voice to victims like Boston police officer John O'Keefe, the 16-year veteran that prosecutors say was murdered by his girlfriend, Karen Reed, inside of the Massachusetts courtroom where the case will be tried again. On Thursday, you could cut the tension with a knife. And did you get a load of this moment? Karen Reed and her attorneys seemingly ambushing Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan as he was in a separate hearing with defendant Aidan Kearney. He goes by the name Turtle Boy. Now, this is all over the special prosecutor in Karen Reed's case obtaining the contents of the cell phone searches done by the prosecution team on Kearney's case. Let's take a look.
Texts, videos, things that have absolutely nothing to do with communications between Mr. Kearney and the defendant. So how can the Commonwealth make the threshold showing that those are relevant?
First, this is a ruling with Mr. Kearney, so I'm asking that Mr. Kearney's attorney be at the table. I'm not sure why we're being joined by Ms. Reed's team, unless they have standing in this.
Your Honor, we're a little confused, and I don't mean to interrupt the proceeding, but as we're...
Counsel, can you state your name for the record, please?
Of course, I'm sorry. Alan Jackson on behalf of Ms. Reed. We didn't see which case number was called for this Rule 17, if it was Mr. Kearney's case number or if it was Ms. Reed's case number. We were told, or at least our impression in talking to Judge Kearney, was if this issue was going to be on our case number. I specifically asked that question at sidebar day before yesterday, and she said yes. She needed to be here, and she has a right to counsel, and we have a right. We believe we have a right to be heard on this issue because it does attend to her rights going forward in terms of her case. I mean, this is her case.
No, it doesn't stop there. So why are Karen Reed's attorneys on the witness list for the Commonwealth? We have so many issues to get to here. We're going to do our best to hit them all. I am so pleased to welcome in on the program podcaster Roberta Glass. She's the host of the show True Crime Report. She's joining us this morning along with David Bruno. Good morning to you both. Okay, let's start with that relationship, the relationship between Karen Reed and Turtle Boy, and that very brazen, bold, and dare I say it, rude interruption of the hearing right in the middle of it, and that dirty look Karen Reed gave Hank Brennan. Roberta, let me start with you. Your reaction to that?
Well, it's typical of what we've seen from Karen Reed in the courtroom. Very inappropriate, very angry at Hank Brennan. That's the Karen Reed we've come to know, a very angry, vindictive, I would say psychopathic woman.
Roberta, thank you for that. You know, she does look angry. I mean, and she knows, she's cognizant about it. She knows cameras are rolling. We heard her talking about it in the Investigation Discovery docuseries. You know, to me, this is her trying to deliberately make a moment, and I think she made a fool of herself. That is incredibly disrespectful behavior. It has no place in a courtroom. Hank Brennan's doing his job. And let's not forget, Hank Brennan's a defense attorney. He's one of the best criminal defense attorneys in the country. That is his reputation. And a long time ago, he was a prosecutor. He's earned his reputation. He's also a trial advocacy professor. Not the guy I'd want to mess with, and I'm sure he's been through way worse than Karen Reed's dirty looks. David Bruno, you just always epitomize, respect. You're the quintessential gentleman and know how one should conduct themselves in the courtroom. If your client did that, what would you say to them?
Yeah, here's a message to all litigants. I don't care what case it is. You're always being watched. You're being watched by the public. You're being watched by the jury if they're seated, the judge. There's always observations going on. Look, we even talked about it in the Kohberger case just a couple segments ago about how they're concerned about how the jury sees Kohberger and his flat effect. So for anybody there, you have to conduct yourselves knowing that you are being observed. And she should know this. She should know this. I don't know if it was deliberate. I believe she's a little out of control right there. And you see that little squint at the end, too. It's like almost like piercing stare. And the reason is, guys, because the prosecutor wants to get into those communications with Turtle Boy. He believes that those communications will show consciousness of guilt. And she's almost like, well, how dare you, right? One more sort of pull of the thread that the state is trying to do on Miss Reed.
Yeah, thank you for that, David. Great points. Yeah, you know, this relationship between them. Roberta, you know, they hid it for so long and acted like, oh, you know, he's just independently, you know, talking about this case. And then here it's like, Hank Brennan's exposed it all. Roberta, you've covered it from the beginning. How do you feel at this point in time? Do you feel like the house of cards has been brought down?
Oh, I feel like her legal team is definitely, the momentum is with the Commonwealth now. But I mean, they can lie, she can lie, her legal team can lie to the court, in my opinion, about her relationship with Aidan Kearney, Alan Jackson, using very deliberate language that nobody speaks for Karen Reed. Nobody thought that Aidan Kearney spoke for Karen Reed. However, there are 29 communications between Alan Jackson and Aidan Turtleboy Kearney, and 29 communications between David Unetti. Okay, Alan Jackson and David Unetti, about 29 times between April 20th and May 2nd, 2023. That's the time when the most witness harassment was going on. You notice that they never publicly said, you know, we love the support that Karen Reed's getting, but call off the dogs, you know, please don't harass witnesses, please don't boo the victim's family. They never said that publicly because it was part of their strategy. So it's not just Karen Reed, it's Karen Reed and her legal team that are behind, in my opinion, behind this witness harassment campaign, because the facts aren't, they can't use the facts. The facts aren't with her.
Roberta, great points. Thank you. So we know that Hank Brennan is trying to get these messages in to his case because he says that it would show Karen Reed's consciousness of guilt, saying that she would have no reason to employ Turtle Boy to allegedly harass these people if she hadn't done this. Now, we know that she says she's innocent. She's claiming that she's being victimized, claiming that I believe it's a 50-person conspiracy cover-up they're alleging and all this. She's saying she's innocent of the crime she's been charged with. Something that may give us insight into what was going on in those final few moments before John O'Keefe was taken from this earth. His own statements. I've got a clip here about it and the state of the relationship between him and Ms. Reed. Let's take a look.
We know from the statements that there was a tumult in that relationship, and many of those statements are reduced to writing. And it is clear, based on that and other testimony, that he was in the course of attempting to end the relationship with Ms. Reed.
That's preposterous. The idea, there is no evidence to support that last point, that this type of information, let's say, for instance, it's information that he wanted to break up with her. There's no suggestion in the facts that Karen Reed would kill John O'Keefe rather than simply break up with him.
Okay, so we'll have to see if these statements from John O'Keefe make their way into the case evidence. The judge still hasn't ruled on that. David, something that people are getting a lot of questions going about on social media, because it is odd to see. The Commonwealth has put 3 of Karen Reed's attorneys on the witness list, reportedly so that they could authenticate the out-of-court statements that she's made to various media outlets. How do you see this playing out, please?
Yeah, I don't actually see it playing out. It would be very odd to see her attorneys in the witness stand at her trial. I don't think it's good optics for the court. Look, there could always be a stipulation, too. If it's to authenticate an out-of-court statement, certainly a stipulation would be enough. And then just final point on this whole Turtle Boy angle that Brennan and the government's looking at. This has already been a circus. The first trial, circus. All the crowds, all the followings and things. If I were prosecuting this, I would want to go in straight. I don't know if I'd want to add this whole turtle boy angle of consciousness of guilt because of out-of-court statements and communications. I just question it because of all of the different distractions that we've already seen in the trial.
Yeah, fair point. David, thank you for that. This is a mess of a case. It has become a circus. And Roberta, I want to give you the final word here. As we get ready to go to trial, you know, of course, with any case, we know Karen Read has pleaded not guilty. She's cloaked in the presumption of innocence. It's up to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as you know, to prove her guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. With all of these things coming out in hearings like yesterday's, where we know they're going to use the temperature of John O'Keefe's phone, the text stream data to show exactly where her car was at the time and place, do you think there's any way we would see a plea agreement here?
Never. She'll never plea out. She will be blaming other people for what I feel is her murder of John O'Keefe till she dies.
Roberta Glass, we have so many more things we need to talk with you about. Check out Roberta's podcast, True Crime Report. It is awesome. I'll look forward to having you back soon. Thank you so very much. And David Bruno's coming with us, and I want you to do the same at home. Before we hit our break, every Friday, you know what we like to do. We like to be a voice for victims and spotlight a particular victim. And on this Friday morning, it is John O'Keefe, that Boston police officer who is really what this case is all about. People forget all too often that he's what the case is about. He's why there's a trial happening right now, because he was taken from us. May his family get some comfort in knowing that he was loved and that there was a pursuit of justice for him. We'll be right back.